Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to show you some of the awesome ways our Right extension for Qlik is being used for financial planning. Hopefully you will see something perhaps you can use in your organization, or we will get your wheels spinning and provide some inspiration for your own creative use cases. And just a quick housekeeping, if you have any questions, please feel free to enter them in the chat box, and we will get to as many as we can at the end. And if we don't, we will answer them all through email. And also we have a survey this time that we will provide at the end. So please participate in that if you don't mind. So my slide's not changing. Okay, there we go. So let's start with introductions. My name is Dallas Nevins, and I am located in Atlanta, Georgia, here in the US. And I serve as the sales and partner manager for Right in both North and South America. I've been with Inform for about 3 years, but just recently joined our BI team full time. And I'm very excited to be working with such a dynamic group of talented folks, one of which is Kevin, who I will let introduce himself. Kevin?
Hi guys, thank you Dallas for the introduction. My name is Kevin Essaus, as you can see. Right now I'm a pre-sales consultant or pre-sales solution architect at Inform in Aachen. And therefore I'm joining the sales team and proof of concept statuses and so on. So basically just been part of the sales team right now. Formerly, I was a senior consultant in our BI projects team at the Data Lab, where I was responsible for especially business-related projects in our Data Lab. For example, for the Lufthansa CityLine project, where it was all about financial planning and SAP CO module data, and in combination with our Right plan solution, we created a fully fledged cost unit calculation on applications. So my background is more on the financial side. I worked 8 years for a rating agency located in Germany, where it was my responsibility to analyze data all around Germany. So it was it is a group which is responsible for business data all around Germany, to give out data and sell data, and was my responsibility to analyze this data all over Germany in Excel sheets. And as some of you guys know, if you have like 2 million business active companies, then you reach the limits of Excel pretty quickly. So I decided to go to Inform Data Lab since the last 3 years, and there I'm responsible for like plenty of data analytics cases, for instance, for autonomic driving cars, where we analyze data sets of 180 petabyte, which is like a huge improvement to my data competency. So this is why I'm here today. And I would do the demo right away. So after Dallas did the introduction, I will show you some applications or 3 in specific to keep you updated about the functionalities we provide.
Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. So he's our finance guy, which
Yes.
we're excited to see his specialty in this demo. Okay, and so now I want to give you a short introduction into our company. Inform is a long-standing global software company, and we are focused on digital decision making. And we just celebrated our 50th anniversary. And our expertise and clients span across many industries and many countries. And we have entire divisions devoted to everything. You can see in the little icons on the bottom of the screen, everything from aviation to manufacturing to logistics to fraud detection, just to name a few. And so one quick client example that most of us could relate to is the world's busiest airport, my very own Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Once from the moment an airplane touches ground in Atlanta. Inform software is involved in optimizing all of the ground handling and logistics until that plane takes off again. So that's just one example of um, Inform in the world. So at Inform, we have more than 750 business analysts, data scientists, and software engineers that support more than 1,000 customers worldwide. Our software solutions optimize operations in numerous industries with complex processes. And we have 7 main divisions, and the one that Kevin and I belong to, like we said before, is our business intelligence division. And we recently rebranded that as the Data Lab. And within the Data Lab, we offer data management, data analytics, data science, and of course, a large part of those, our processes in the consulting uses Qlik to help our customers organize, visualize, and then strategize with their data. And through this Qlik consulting, we had a client 5 years ago that wanted a write back possibility, and we created that. And for the past 5 years, we have been just fine tuning and adding to, and just really seeing the value of having a write back extension within Qlik. And it just keeps growing and getting better and better. So what exactly is possible with Write, and what are a few features that make us unique from other write back extensions? If you look at this image and start in the bottom right-hand corner of the slide, you see that the basic use case where we started was Write allows the user to comment. And this commenting can be more than just free text. It is highly configurable and can include date pickers, drop-downs, even associative drop-downs, and checkboxes. The checkbox feature is a capability that our clients love because it allows for approval processes, which is very helpful. And then moving up, I guess I'm moving counterclockwise. As you know, we write the data back to a separate database, and afterwards the changes are then reloaded back into the Qlik Sense data model. And this is one thing that differentiates us from a few competitors, because this process allows the edited data to be visible in other apps and not just in the one that you edited in, or the one that was originally edited. Moving along, you can see that planning is something else that Write enables. There are several other comment and editing write back extensions out there, but we are unique in the fact that we also offer simple and complex planning that is totally embedded into Qlik Sense, which Kevin will show you shortly. And of course, one of the main highlights of our extension is the ability to edit, create, and process new data directly in Qlik Sense, even from mobile devices. And I would say one of the biggest advantages of Write over most of our competitors is the fact that we are enterprise ready. Our customer references prove this point, and they show that we are enterprise ready for many reasons, like the fact that we have a very secure backend and that we can handle numerous simultaneous users with no problem. And then, of course, direct data interaction, which works, for example, with data cleansing. Okay, so I'm about to hand the presentation over to Kevin so he can actually show you our financial planning solution in action. But before that, I thought I'd give you 2 quick examples of how some of our clients are using Write Plan for financial applications and some of the results they have seen. So Gabriel Chamy, or GCM, which is a little easier for me to say, is a
Dallas,
chemical.
sorry to
Yes.
interrupt you, but the GoToWebinar suggests me to shut off the webcams due to performance issues. Maybe we can switch off the webcams because the cam is breaking up. Maybe you
Okay,
can just
great.
switch it up.
All right, I will turn off the webcam.
Sorry for interruption.
That's okay. Can you still hear me and everything?
Yes.
All right, good. Okay, so Um, Gabriel Chemie, or GCM, is a chemical company in Austria who came to Inform looking for a group-wide web-based solution for their sales budgeting and forecasting. Together, we have now created an all-in-one platform for their reporting, analysis, planning, and forecasting directly in Qlik Sense. And it is very common for clients to come to us currently doing all of these processes in Excel. So one of the primary success factors for GCM is now they are very happy that they have now completely eliminated Excel from their planning processes. Uh, and another win was in time savings. The group managed to reduce the time it takes for them to create monthly and quarterly financial statements by 6 days. And so that results in a significant monetary savings as well. And additionally, they have said that Right Plan has helped achieve the perfect interaction of data analytics and integrated planning. Okay, and then another customer we've had for quite a while is Lufthansa, and they are the largest airline in Germany. And we have a great success story document that I will send you all with the recording of this webinar. And Kevin will also share some further details about this project in just a minute. But however, I wanted to highlight that moving their integrated planning, cost unit accounting, and rolling forecast to Qlik Sense with Right as an alternative to how they were doing it before in SAP BW has been a significant time and money saver for the airline. You can see here a quote from senior controllers Baer and Lowski, who said that what used to take controllers in each department around 12 hours is now taking them around 2 hours with Right. So you can just imagine the savings there, and also the data extraction from SAP that previously took them 3 to 4 hours now takes less than 30 minutes. So Kevin, do you want to go into further details about this project and then maybe jump into the demo?
Yeah, just to give some more insights about, okay, what is the need of our customer in the market right now is and where the Lufthansa city line was a pretty good example of how environments look like nowadays at our customer site. So it was all about SAP as a ERP, enterprise resource planning system in the back end, and the SAP Business Warehouse as the reporting tool or the data at data warehousing for reporting purposes. But it wasn't that flexible as Dallas already mentioned. So we went there with our Writeback solution back in the days and said, okay, how can we help you? And they mentioned, okay, we have SAP and we want to enhance our BW structure in here, and we want to have an integrated platform where we have our cost centers and cost types from SAP, from the CO module, and plan them right away in the first place, and afterwards calculate, okay, how much does one airport cost us? Because Lufthansa CityLine is part of the Lufthansa Group, and the Lufthansa Group is the owner of the airport, so the CityLine is leasing them back. That's a pretty common sense in the airport industry sector. So it was about, okay, calculating what does one airport cost us on the base of cost centers and cost types from SAP plus Right Plan. For the just budgeting and forecasting, the 12 months rolling forecasting process, not just having like the budget 12 months or 12 fiscal month budgeting, but also the rolling monthly forecasting part, which we then provided with our extensions and the whole environment to build around, just by calculating, okay, how do we get from cost centers and cost type combinations to cost units? This was the environment we developed together with the Lufthansa CityLine, just to give you a scope of how one possible project could look like. Am I already able to share my screen? Because then I would just right away jump into the demos. to show you how 3 possible applications could look like, because we understand the right extension for Qlik Sense as a toolbox, whether it's right edit or right plan. Today we focus on right plan to be applicable to every data environment we're facing at our customer sites. So I will just give you a short presentation of three different applications, with each an evolving complexity status. So starting at the very first one is the Right Plan app, which is this one here. Just to give you some more information about the QlikSense environment. This is a server based in Inform in Aachen, and I'm right away in home office due to the COVID situation, and logging onto the server, which is web technology based, meaning if I access this by my tablet or my smartphone, doesn't matter, because we have responsive design by using web technologies here to show it on every screen. So we have the public sectors on a server, which are the streams. Probably some of you guys, if you are already a Qlik customer, you know that you have like professional analyzer licenses, and if you're an analyzer, you can, as an extension, use Qlik Right Plan and Right Edit as the extension. So you just so an analyzer license is sufficient. You don't need to be a professional user. So we have the streams. The server knows who I am. I'm Kevin Hesshaus, and I can see those 4 streams. You can just you can have your central administration with your Windows server, where you say, okay, we have a new employee. We can just type him in, and then he should also automatically get access to Qlik Sense in the first place, but in the second place to write and have a write license given to him if one is free. So let's jump right into the Right Plan demo, which is looking like this. And if you guys already have seen our extension and how this one works, on the bottom here, on the bottom left side here, you just saw the extension, and this is a common Qlik Sense application here. And if I select like our actuals, and the data set in the first application I'm showing is the simplest one, just to show you how the extension behaves and how you can enter new data. The setup of our extension is pretty much like a common Qlik Sense pivot table in the Qlik Sense application here. If I just show you how this extension is configured, we see, okay, we have like 4 dimensions, which is the hierarchy here we talk about. First is the company, second is the region, then comes the sales rep, and under the sales rep there are the customers. So this is a pretty simple data set here, and I will just right away show you how the extension works, because you see, okay, these values here, if I just go into analyze mode, as you can see, these periods here are green, showing me that I can edit them. So I select 2018, and then I see, okay, just collapse it all. We have like the totals, then we have the 4 regions, under the regions, the sales rep, and underneath the customers. And what I can do right away is, if I see, okay, this fiscal month here, or fiscal period, and you can decide whether you have January to December, or if your fiscal year starts at on the 1st of October, then this is something you can configure in the back end, and you're totally dynamic by applying your fiscal setups here. So in this case, we have the January 2018, and what I can do now, and what is supported in the common extension, is the top-down and bottom-up planning. If I say, okay, the January sales, which is like this over the regions, I can just enter a value here. If I say 500K, then you see, okay, I'm doing a top-down planning, meaning the south sales are 500K, and you see that this one just broke it down to the lower levels, the sales reps, and underneath the customers. So the extension knows, okay, how is the upper node calculated, because you just set it up with your dimensions, and you see, okay, these three values for the customers Alpenshoe, Snowflake Drafts, and Sunny Sky Store are adding up to the total of Bayer here. So I did the top-down planning situation. So the extension knows, okay, Zimmer and Bayer are summing up to 500K, and he is calculating by the relative amount of the upper node and breaking the values down to the lowest level. So if I have the lowest level like this, and I say, okay, Alpenshoe is having a big order in January, I can then afterwards do the bottom-up planning, where the bottom or the lower nodes are summed up in the upper node here. So this is the top-down, bottom-up planning situation. So again, the hierarchy belongs to your own data model. And if we have some Qlik view guys over in our webinar here, you can use your Qlik view data totally in Qlik sense, because this extension is just for Qlik sense. This is not working in Qlik view due to the APIs. But you can use this with Qlik sense, and you can use your Qlik view data in Qlik sense, or also because it's the same engine running in the backend. So I can just edit the total node here. If I say, okay, in June my seasonality is about 1.5 million in June, then this is also a top-down planning, and then I can switch up my seasonality. And if I say, okay, we got a total of 20.8 million here at our sales, which I edited. Basically, I edited the actuals in 2019, because I prepared them to be like the template for my new budget values here. Because afterwards I can say, okay, in total, in the current COVID status, we have like COVID 2020 budgets, which are just 80% of our current actuals for 2020. And then I press OK, and then you will see that the 12.8 million are multiplied by 80%, but still having our seasonality in hand, plus the calculation logics behind the hierarchy we just implemented here. So I edited the actuals temporarily to have like a template for our budgets, and now I know, okay, this is the seasonality. This is how our budgets should look like by considering our strategical sales goal from 80% for the next year. And if I say, okay, this fits for the first version, I can hit the save button. And now in this moment, the data is pushed from the extension to the database. And if this is successful, the right server tells the Qlik Sense application to be reloaded. So the reload script of the app is triggered. Optionally, you can trigger partial reloads in Qlik Sense or task reloads to cover the whole possibilities here, or the whole requirements from our customers here. So anyways, this triggered the full reload of the app. And as we can see, if I just deselect my actuals, we just generated our COVID 2020 figures here. And this is the 10.24 million value I just generated. As I told you, we got this is the budgeting process, right? You are budgeting for 12 periods, or the number of periods is also up to you. If you have a planning process which is like week-wise, then this is something you can also consider in the backend, or configure in the backend, because you have like a monthly planning period, or if you have like more a strategic one where you see, okay, I have yearly values, then you just have one period, and then you have your years in the columns here. So this is totally up to you. If I say, okay, this is my budget for 2020. Today we have the 13th of May, 2020. So I could use the generated budgets plus the actuals for creating new monthly 12 months rolling forecasts here. Meaning, if I just hit the forecast button, I have a base period, which consists, in our case today, the fiscal month normally closes after a few working days after finishing the month. So basically we have like from January to April, we have our actual values. For this example, we just take 2018, and our budget values are then from May to December from our just generated budget COVID 2020. As you may still know, we have a total budget sum of 10.24 million sales, right? This is our sales goal. This is our budget we need to reach. So the base actuals are overriding period by period our budget values we had. So I can say, okay, we still need to reach our budget, our goals. So I just hit the fixed budget sum here. And I would show you right away how this could look like. If I see it, just like this is the forecast name, the forecast year is 2020, and then I hit the OK button, and then you see, okay, from January to April, this has another color. This shows me, okay, I can't edit anything in here. So this is locked, this is frozen, whatever. So from May to December, it's open, and I can still edit the values. Before I start editing the values, let's just have a look. We have still a sum of 10.24 million here, meaning the difference between the actual values from January to April are overriding the January to April from our budgeting, meaning the difference is divided by the open months for the 10 million minus the 4 million here, which sum up from January to April, and then are divided by considering the seasonality or the relative calculation logics between the months over the still open months here, right? So, and afterwards, if I say, okay, this maybe fits, but we have a large order in November again, then I'm changing the total sum, because then I'm doing the bottom up calculation thing and overriding our budget sums here. Obviously, if I just afterwards just correct my sales values like this, then I'm just changing the sum anyways. So if I say, okay, this is something fitting for our forecasting, 12 months rolling forecasting for our April figures, then I can hit the save button, and afterwards our COVID-19 forecasting just arrives in our data model here, and then I can go on working with it. And as you can see, January to April is still open, and this is something I can lock again. If I go to my base period here, I can say, okay, my plan ID COVID-19, the base year is 2020, and the base period is April, and then I can lock my my periods again, right? Because January to April shouldn't be editable because these are my actuals, and then I can force the extension not to be edited column-wise. So this application was about showing you how the extension works and how it behaves, creating new budgets, editing budgets, and creating new forecasts. Let's just have a look at a more complex planning solution. This was about just sales data. Let's just dive right away to a profit and loss planning, right? This is connected to a project we have for US GAAP balance sheets, respectively. So meaning this is all sales centric, right? So we have a pretty basic, simple profit and loss statement, which covers turnover, sales, bonuses, net sales revenue as a sum, cost of goods sold equals gross profit, less marketing results in EBIT, and afterwards we have the tax and then our net result. So this is pretty much the outcome of our planning approach here. And this is realized by a quantity planning and a margin planning. And if I just jump to our quantity planning, then I can have a look at my actuals here. Oh no, right away, I'm looking at my budgets. Let's just have a look at the actuals here. Then I know, okay, these are my quantities over 5 different stores. This data here, the template data is, or this example data is just about liquor quantities here. So these are store-wise quantity figures here for our actuals. And then we just generated a budget right away. If I deselect anything, I can see the difference between my plans here, my budgets I generated. We have our actuals here as like a dark blue. Then we have our webinar test budget and our budget here as well. So I can select my budgets, for instance. So the template for my new budgets can be former budgets right away, or forecastings or whatever. And if I say, okay, this is my seasonality here, I will just boost up my May values here and just lower my January one. So this is just a common top-down planning. I think don't have to describe this anymore. So this is broken down to the lowest level. This was a top-down planning, and then I hit the save button for my budgets, or I can again create a new budget saying, okay, this is still just 80% due to the COVID situation for 2020. Then this one is generating new data for COVID 2020 in total sum of 500K quantity. I hit the save button, and this is a more complex application. So what this one does is it generates new data for our COVID. So we just not simply having like the quantities, but we also generating margins here, meaning I can edit the sales, the dollar in sales per unit. So this is a combination of margins and quantities here. So this is generated by the actuals in the last total year we have in our data model here. So we have like the turnover per unit, the COGS per unit, the marketing per unit, and the sales bonuses per unit, as well as the taxes. And the outcome is, and I still have my COVID 2020 figures in hand. The outcome is, again, the profit and loss statements for our COVID 2020 in comparison to our actuals. And this is how our new profit and loss statements could look like. This is the point where we are happy that we decided ourselves to develop this for QlikSense, because you can use still the whole power of QlikSense. If I go to my profit and loss thing and I just had my quantity planning, I can afterwards still select my certain certain materials here, and see what the profit and loss statement looks like for certain products like this. If we have a look at the profit and loss for each store, just for Jim Beam, then I see, okay, the central store is pretty much the one with the highest net result here, and I can switch this up. If I just select the whole product group whiskey here and deselect the Jim Beam, then I see the profit and loss for the whole material group, and this is step 2 of total step 3 in complexity. Because I just got the most complex one is our financial template, which one of our partners developed for us, where the functionality expands the profit and loss statement at the first place. So this is our dashboard here. We still have our actuals, and we have layers, which directly compares the two layers with each other. So this is our profit and loss for actual 2018. We have revenues, we have personal costs, we have the whole cost parts here to be calculated in the end to the EBT, the earnings before taxes. And I can compare like certain layers with each other. So the base layer is plan now, and the comparison layer is, for example, the forecast one, where no data is in there. So I can just have my actuals again 2018, or I can switch this up with like different years. This is the comparison between the plan 2019 versus actuals 2017, but I could also like compare the actuals 2018 with the actuals 2017. So this is pretty much a the biggest outcome, or the one of the biggest solutions or environments we build up, because any row in our profit and loss statement is generated by our plan extension, meaning the sales planning here is and I have to deselect this. The sales plan outcome is like the outcome of our sales planning here, and the cost planning is responsible for like the whole planning rows in our profit and loss statement here. So this basically sums up in this type of scenario profit and loss thing here, but this is also expanded by investment plannings and credit plannings to have like a fully fledged liquidity plan in here, where you have like your incomes and outcomes in liquidity, considering like even your investments or your credit repayings, to like sum up in this liquidity plan. What also is normally pretty important is the simulation here. I can have a pretty basic simulation. What happens if the revenues are expanded by 140%, and the personal cost? And what you can see now is that this one is just calculating a simulated profit and loss statement on the fly, where I can see, okay, what happens if like my revenues go down by 94% or whatever. And then you see, okay, if this is a simulation, then our total outcome would be like a negative result of 11 million. So this pretty much wraps it up for the different complexity projects we just faced at our customer sites. This should just show you how flexible our extension is, and how applicable is to like any kind of data set you're bringing to have this be applied to your data environment you have. So, Dallas, are you still with us?
I am. I just muted myself. Do you want to go to the questions? I
Sure.
see there is a question here. that says these dimensions are a field on the app data model, question mark, will my selections in the app influence the number of rows populated in the extension object?
Yes, I think the question is in regards to the configuration I just showed, and the answer is yes. So you have like your dimensions here, and if I just select like a certain region or two regions or certain customers below it, then this is of course applied to our extension here and the data set which is planned or which is edited, right? What also is important by saying this section access is also a thing, and you can just edit or create data you are able to see. So if the section access does not allow you to see like the region north, then you're not able to see it in the extension, and hence you're not able to edit anything here because you don't see the data. This is something which was pretty important for our development process to stick to the Qlik Sense native functionalities here. But anyways, as you can see, your selections here are applied to the data set which is planned or edited.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. And we have uploaded under handouts. If you see on the web GoToWebinar panel, I'm not sure where it is on your screen, but the Lufthansa success story is there, and we will also attach it in the email when we send you all a recording of this session. And thank you so much for attending. If you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to me or Kevin or any of us on the Inform team, and we will get back to you. And we hope that you found this helpful and exciting, and we look forward to our next webinar and hope you'll attend that one as well.
There are more questions I just read.
You did? I didn't. Did it just come in?
More questions.
I just see one here, but maybe I'm not.
And there's a question. Can you see the questions?
I can, but that was the one I just read you, so I think that might be it.
Okay, so that's the question. Can we input a budget with more dimensions than the two in the grid? Of course you can. As you can imagine, like Lufthansa has an own hierarchy for international financial reporting standards and the cost types relating to it. And sure, you can have like 12 different levels or even below that to display like your whole SAP system, right? Because otherwise, if this wouldn't be possible, then you couldn't you wouldn't even be able to plan or budget like values from a whole SAP system, because this can be quite huge, as you can imagine, I think. So you can have like, I think the lowest level or the lowest hierarchy we going into is like 15 levels deep. But yes, you can.
Awesome. And now it looks like we have another question.
Yeah, could you show how to recall the initial values? So the initial values, it depends on what you mean by saying the actuals are editable, as you can see, but you can use the data script to also like add your original values to the data model. Because what the extension does is pushing data directly into the database, and your loading script in the application decides, okay, what data am I adding to my data model? And you're not overriding the existing data, but you're just creating new data sets in your database, and you could also add your origin one to your data model, and you can then afterwards just select it. Like I select the actuals or the bad year. You can have another filter where you say, okay, these are my actuals, and these are my edited actuals out of the planner database, or the actuals from my original database, which can be SAP or whatever enterprise resource planning system, you name it, or CRM system if you have like sales plans or whatever. So there's another question: is it possible to manage more than one measure at the same time, price and quantity instead of amount? Thanks. Yes, it is possible. And this is what I showed you in the quantity planning in combination with the margin planning. So you have like one KPI planned in here and like a further multiplier here. So you have like two KPIs in two separate planners here, but it's still on the roadmap, and it will be available short term to have like two KPIs like quantity and the multiplier in like one object here. This is something that will be released shortly. This is a question I already answered. Price and quantity, that's what I just mentioned. Are there any audit log management for input and modification? To be honest, I don't really know what you mean by saying audit log management for input. What we have is for the management, and to always say, okay, on this date we had this value in the front end or in our data model, which was planned. We have a full historization of the edit, the edited values you just edited in the front end, meaning you can always see what happened to my budgets, because we are logging the history of like or each data row you see in the extension here, and the right server which is running in the backend is storing the whole history of each data set. Right, all the modifications are recorded in the database. So we have a current data table which just shows the current data, and if I just edit like this to like $5, then the 3.8 you just saw is like the second version, but not the current one, because the current one is $5 and the 3.8 is like a version below. So this is the history, and the engine logs, okay, Kevin is the one who's logged into the system, and he did this editing on like 4 p.m. This is something which is not missing. That's all. So I guess the questions are answered.
I'm glad you could see the questions. I couldn't for some reason. But thank you, everyone, and we will be in touch, and have a wonderful day.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks.